Guys, welcome to another episode of The Pulse. Man, I feel old saying this. Somebody I remember going back, 15, 20 years when I was doing radio.
Yeah,
and you were trying to help the whole world lose weight.
Yeah.
Dr. Ian K. Smith in the building.
Good to see you, man. You look great.
I'm trying. I got your books.
Yeah, I'm running out of books.
Nah, that's impossible. How many is it now?
Well, Eagle Rock, the new novel, is my 26th book. This is the 6th novel. This is the 4th in my Ash Kane detective series. So now I'm doing a novel once a year and a health book once a year, so I alternate.
So you're writing 2 books a year.
I like to write. I love it. It's not like I feel it's not work for me. I have more ideas than I can ever write. So I don't feel like I can write enough because there's so many ideas that are just on the shelf that I can't get to.
So you want to do more.
If I could have another me to be able to pump some of the stuff out, I would do it. I don't know. I'm a creative person. I'm always thinking creatively.
So that's where we're supposed to, the book, and we'll get into the details of the book, but that's when we officially, product placement, book available, okay. All places where books are sold. For people who don't know, and I feel like you've been at this for a minute, how did you get down this path? You know,
I think that a lot of my career has been by accident to some degree, some intention, but a lot by accident. I should be in the OR doing orthopedic surgery, seeing patients 3 days a week, and my life is everything but that. I always wanted to be a physician and wanted to be a surgeon. I had a very myopic, narrow-focused view of what I wanted to do in life. I always wanted to be a doctor. I always wanted to be a neurosurgeon, and every other possibility or opportunity I ignored. And then something happened to me in medical school that changed it. I realized that the neurosurgeons who I idolized for so long growing up were very unhappy people, and they led very lonely lives. And I said to myself, while I love the idea of being a brain surgeon, is this the life that I really want to lead? Yeah. And it was a really tough moment for me because my whole life I wanted to do this thing. And then I had my first doubts about, is this the right thing for me? I stopped, which was very hard. Like I said, no neurosurgery. I'm going to do orthopedic surgery, which is the bones and muscles part of surgery. I'm going to do that. Those guys were fun. They were ex-jocks, a lot of them, right? So I chose a lifestyle specialty. But even then, and I was happy doing that, I also always had an interest in news. I always wanted to see how is news made, period. I was a news junkie. And so one thing led to the next, and in the middle of my 4th year of medical school, I started an internship at the local NBC station in Chicago. Okay. And then my life just went in all kinds of directions from there to doing TV in New York for NBC and the Today Show, writing a column for Time Magazine, for New York Daily News. I just started doing all these things that interested me, but still doing medicine. And then the writing and journalism kind of took over my life.
Still just wanted to help people. Just found a different journey to do it?
So when I was doing my training in New York as a medical resident, I finished my training. While I was doing it, I was actually on TV also for NBC. And what I realized was I had this moment where I was driving from 30 Rock in Manhattan up to the Bronx. I stopped at the toll booth to pay the toll. And the lady in the toll booth not only recognized me, but she asked me a medical question that she had seen a report I had done on TV. And she's like, oh my goodness, it's you. And she asked me this question. And what I realized was that being on TV gave me so many more patients, gave me a much bigger reach. And while I didn't have the intimate hand-to-hand kind of relationship, I could get good medical suggestions, advice, information to the masses that otherwise would not have reached them in a way that they could digest it.
My father, back in radio, and you've met my father before when I was in radio, he had this concept with Dr. Walter Lomax, who owned the station at the time, is that you can't individually touch, help, heal every person, but you can give every person a voice, some sort of access. And that kind of sounds like I can reach out, get to many more people through this journey.
I miss the patient interaction. What I don't miss are the politics of the hospital, the bureaucracy, the insurance issues where insurance companies are pretty much making decisions for doctors based on economic models and not based on human models. So I don't miss any of that. So what I've been able to do is I've been able to carve out a career where I can still help you. A guy in the gym yesterday morning stopped me, just found out that he was pre-diabetic. So he curbsided me. What should I do? Okay, I got a book called Blast the Sugar Out, which is exactly built for you. So my career has allowed me to help people in different ways. Once again, not taking away from practicing physicians, but there's a seat at the table for all of us to try to attack this huge issue we have in America, which is a health crisis.
It sounds like you were always this ambitious.
I think that when you grew up in the time that I grew up in as a poor kid from a blue-collar family with no dad, and you have dreams of kind of transcending where you are, I think you're very ambitious, just kind of naturally. I didn't see it as ambition. I saw it as, this is what I need to do to make it. This is what I need to do to help my mother and my family. And so it was just natural for me. Now, as you get older and you're able to meet other people and you have a comparative reference point, you're like, oh, I guess I was ambitious. But to me, it was normal. And maybe it was good I didn't recognize it. Because sometimes when you normalize something that is unique or excellent, if you just normalize it, then you don't think about it and you just do it almost like a reflex. So for me, having the bigness of thought and dreams was just the way of life.
I feel like in some part that's why I love this show. Like, we're normalizing sitting down and talking to people like you and hearing their stories from successes to challenges, and then people see it and they're like, huh, I can do that too.
Sure, I've always said I can't necessarily teach you motivation, but I can inspire you.
Okay.
Right? Motivation is something that has to be organic, has to come from within. People should find inspiration, and if I could be the inspiration for one person and that person can inspire someone else, it has this ripple effect. So I often try to conduct myself when I'm on these platforms to think that there's someone out there on the other side of the camera or the other side of the radio who is having a problem, who has questioned, has self-doubts, who's kind of like in the transition. What can I say or do that could give that person an aha moment that I can do it too? And I think that that's kind of what guides me.
Coming up next, as a health and wellness expert, how does he transition to writing fiction?
This is natural for me, but for my audience and my fans, this is something different.
What guides this?
Eagle Rock.
This is, and it's inspiring, it's fun, and it's all of those things, but it's a hard turn from what you're doing every day, isn't it?
I think that people should not subscribe to the idea that you can be circumscribed or pigeonholed into something. Life is short. We have one life here, earthly life, right? Biologically speaking. And so I think that people should squeeze the most they can out of life. And to me, that means following your passion. And it's not a binary situation where it's either this or that. Why can't you have multiple passions that are in total different spheres that bring you joy in different ways? So fiction, crime fiction, detective mysteries has always been a passion of mine since I was a little kid. That side of me never was public facing because I was a physician. I wrote health and wellness, 50 Million Pound Challenge, Makeover Mile. Those things have always been my public image. But at home, people knew that I was a voracious reader of fiction and a writer for myself. I started writing when I was in college, hoping one day I could publish a novel. So this is natural for me, but for my audience and my fans, this is something different. But I'll tell you, I really decided I wanted to write after reading one of Grisham's books. And the reason why I was inspired was because the feeling that I had reading that book was so cathartic. I was angry, I was happy, I was nervous. I had all these feelings. I was like, wow, imagine to be able to write a book that can elicit that many feelings in one person and give a person that kind of experience. And I said, one day I want to write a book or books that can do that to people. And so Eagle Rock is the fourth installment of my Ash Kane detective series. And I'm a selfish writer. I write like I read. Fast pace, action right from the beginning, mysterious, you got to think, and keep you guessing to the end. Lots of plot, twists, and turns. And so to me, it's just kind of a natural progression of something that I like to do.
You now have a series, and that's outside of the others that are not part of the Ash Kane series. Where does that come from, and trying to do one a year?
Well, first of all, I like writing. I love the process of writing. I like idea generation and then taking those ideas and then putting them into the computer on the page. I just like that process. Number two, I'm a great typist. I'm a very fast typist.
Tell us about Eagle Rock. Tell us about this series. Why should we be reading this also?
Yeah, first of all, I created this character, Ash Kane, because I wanted to create a character I've never seen in books or on TV screens. I like detectives. I wanted a detective. I wanted him to be a new age detective, not like the old curmudgeonly, cigar chomping kind of detective like Columbo. But I wanted a guy who was younger, who was more hip. He can quote Shakespeare. He can quote Kendrick Lamar. I wanted a guy that was very comfortable no matter where he was in the city of Chicago. So whether he's in the affluent north side or the gritty west side, Ash Kane always is Ash Kane. He's fearless, he's smart, he's handsome, and he's a guy who has a bone to pick. He will not stop until justice is done, even if it means that his own life is in peril. And that's who Ash Kane is. He was a former Chicago police detective who left because he wouldn't participate in the cover-up of a shooting of an unarmed teenager. So he leaves the department, gets a settlement, so he's financially independent, hangs up his own shingle to do private cases, and so he only takes on cases that interest him, not for the money, but something in the case has to interest him. And of course, he's a degenerate golfer, and so most of his life is trying to get to the golf course, but these cases just get in the way all the time.
That sounds like a full-on movie or series or something pitch. When is this coming out? Who do we got to call to get the TV series or the movie series?
A producer has purchased the rights.
Okay.
To make it into a TV series.
You tiptoed right past the fact. So you got Tyler Perry money.
No.
Somebody just bought the book and the series. It's like coming soon to a theater near you. You just kind of put that. I mean, they've all been produced. So let's keep it moving. So it is in the works.
It's in the works. And by the way, it's a very difficult process. When someone buys your book, your option, they own the material basically.
Okay.
So you don't have a lot of creative control over the broadcast situation. A lot of authors struggle with that because what you wrote in the book, like for example, Lee Child, who's one of my favorite authors, who now has handed off, Jack Reacher's his character, who's now handed it off to his brother. But Tom Cruise, for example, played Jack Reacher in the movie. Impossible. He is nothing like what Jack Reacher is. And those of us who love the series went nuts about it. Like, how could you cast? I like Tom Cruise, by the way. I know.
Right.
I like Tom Cruise. I grew up with Tom Cruise. I like him, but he's not Jack Reacher. But Lee Child has no say, and Lee wasn't happy either, by the way. But he had no say in who the studio chose to play Jack Reacher. So when you sell your literary rights, your creation, to a studio, you have to understand that you have lost creative control.
Coming up, Dr. Ian makes it clear, don't put him in a box. Like many of us, he's got so many interests.
Some people are okay with just hitting one note. It's okay, by the way. Everyone has a choice in life. Me, I'm just a multi-note kind of guy.
The success of Ash Kane and the success of the series, is that a challenge or a blessing? And I say that because so many people know you one way. And when it's like, Dr. Ian's new book is coming out, and it's the action and the private investigator, and it is, are people going, as we did, cool, we like Dr. Ian, let's bring him in? Or are they going, wait, what?
Well, they start with, wait, what? All we ask is you give us a shot to be able to show the other side and to allow us to express a different part of who we are, whether it's creatively or intellectually. And I think people that are multifaceted, like myself, who have a lot of interest, would ask that you allow us to go in these different places and come with us. Some people are okay with just hitting one note. It's okay, by the way. Everyone has a choice in life. Me, I'm just a multi-note kind of guy. Like I like a lot of different things. I don't always talk about all the things that I like, but I like a lot of different things. And so I'm getting of an age where, I better do some more of this other stuff. I need to do it, and I'm gonna do it. And I'm at a stage in my career where I can afford to do it. I want people to buy Eagle Rock because they're interested in a good story. I'm a story guy, and I want people to like my series because they like the character, they like the writing. Like that is when people send me a message on Instagram and say, hey, I just finished, wow, what a ride. That to me is like gold.
That makes it worth it. People in the studio will remember when we had Master P on. So Master P, make him say, like that's what you knew him for. That's what we knew him for. And Master P was in here talking about Snoopaloop cereal and the Master P pancake brand, and he's on shelves, and they got ice cream and everything else. And he said that it is only us, meaning largely African-American community, that people seem to have so many challenges with you branching out and exploring these other options.
Someone infamously said that a particular basketball player should just dribble the basketball and shut his mouth. I mean, that's just an asinine, horrific thing to say, and it's completely a lack of understanding of humans. I mean, just because, you're a lawyer doesn't mean that you don't watch love stories. Just because you're a teacher doesn't mean that you don't like, to watch fitness competitions. Why do you have to only do one thing? And that's what, my attraction to writing and putting my novels out is because I like it.
Coming up next, how Dr. Ian's using his voice for good.
There are all kinds of things that every one of us can do to help at least one other person.
What's next? Like, you got a lot on your plate.
I want to get more into TV production. Everyone wants me in front of the camera. I want to do some stuff behind the camera. I want to get more stories out there. My next health book is already written. It comes out in January, called Eat Your Age. So I'll be out about that.
So that means I'm going to be having like a Dixie cup of lemonade and cream chip beef. I eat dinner at 4:30?
No. Eat your age means what are the 10 best nutrients for your decade of life that you're in? Because as our bodies change as we age, the foods we need are different. The tests that we should take are different. The numbers we need to know are different. All these things are different. And a 30-day meal plan that's customized to your 30s or your 40s or your 50s or 60s. So that book is about how do you feel younger, feel happier, how do you live longer? And the idea is you need to fuel your body in a different way. You need to exercise. The exercise you do in your 30s are not necessarily the exercises that are best for you in your 50s. And so how do you make that adaptation? So this book in January will be that. And then following that, I've already written the 5th installment of the Ash Kane series. That's already in
Of course you have.
Well, in the pandemic, I wrote a lot, right? So I got a backlog, but I try to stay ahead. So I just keep writing and keep living. I mean, I just keep going for it. I'm always dreaming, by the way.
Always something going on.
Always.
Listen, I pulled a hamstring learning how to do double Dutch. That's what I said. The whole concept of live my age, eat your age, that started to sink in.
That's not the exercise for your decade, by the way.
Clearly. I'm trying to find out new plans. Walking around, people are like, what happened? A pit bull came after me. Can't be a grown man. Like, I'm walking around limping for 2 weeks because of double Dutch.
Double Dutch.
Yeah, that doesn't
That's
work.
a good story to it, though.
We end all episodes of The Pulse with the concept of use your voice for good. You have a lot of voices that you're using in a lot of different ways, but when you hear use your voice for good, what does that mean to you?
That means that all of us, regardless of where we are in life or how successful we are, it doesn't matter. We all have a platform. We all have a voice. And you don't have to be a famous person or a moneyed person in order to have some influence. So use your voice to speak up. Use your voice to speak out. Use your voice to support people. There are all kinds of things that every one of us can do to help at least one other person and to make this place, first our country and then the world, a better place. And I think that more of us need to use our voices a little better. I've become even better at using my voice and speaking up about issues I don't typically touch in the political realm. But I think we have to use our voices more, especially given the condition that we're in right now as a country and as a world.
Guys, thanks so much for watching another episode of The Pulse. Today with author and doctor and God, what else has he done? He's just helping people live better lives, Dr. Ian K. Smith. And it was cool sitting there talking to him about all the different things that he's done, his most recent book, his future plans on TV and movies, and of course, his ongoing goal to keep society healthy and happy. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and a reminder that you can listen to the entire thing, the unedited version of the podcast, all places where podcasts are available. Just go on over there and subscribe. You can hit me up on social media at Bill A. Fox29. I am always happy to hear from you, and you should download the Fox Local app so you can watch all of our shows on demand right there at your fingertips. Thanks so much for watching, and I leave you today, as I always do, reminding you whenever you can, use your voice for good and have a good one.